Without further ado, I'd like to bring on our first guest. Edward Sacchi is the co-founder and CEO of National Field. I was about to say SAP, and as I said earlier, National Field played a very significant role in the social media strategy for the Obama election in 2008. We're obviously in an election year, 2012. One of the first questions I want to ask you, Edward, is back in 2008, there were multiple players involved in the Obama social media campaign. Obviously, that sort of came on the heels of all the success that Howard Dean had had. One of the companies was Blue State Digital. So when we heard about National Field, we're kind of curious, well, what exactly were the different roles between these companies and players who were involved in helping propel Obama to the presidency?
Yeah, so it's just like in enterprise social networking. You've got marketing, social networking that's totally focused outside the company. You're trying to get people involved to join your social network for your brand. And then inside the company, you've got something like a Yammer, you've got something like a Jive, which is for all of the staff to collaborate. The thing that was a little bit different for us is that we decided it should be a social network with data. It should be a social network with metrics, with key performance indicators. So we'd track all of the calls that were being made, all of the contacts that were being made, all of the one-on-ones that were happening, all of the work that was going on to create the huge hundreds of thousands of people campaign was being tracked every day on National Field. So instead of a social network where you're logging on, you're sharing articles with each other at the company, or you're sort of replacing email, you're logging on and you're seeing your goals. You're seeing how you're doing every day towards the goals that the company has set for you and that you've set for yourself. So it's a more of a metrics focus, and that's what we did for the campaign.
Okay, and just before we get into the demo here, 2012 election coming up. Any plans with the Obama campaign, and what are the Republicans doing in response?
Yeah, so we're working with the 2012 folks right now, and we were actually in New Hampshire a little while ago, and the other side, it does seem, is still a little bit behind, a little bit primitive. A lot of the tools that you were seeing there were sort of micro-targeting things back from 2006, maybe 2008. So it doesn't feel as though there was a lot of focus on data and technology. From what we saw from the Republican side.
Did they call you and say, "Hey, come on over to the other side"?
Well, there were some tweets, but those went unresponded.
Well, why don't we get a look at how this thing works? I mean,
yeah.
One of the things, and we can zoom in a little bit here, is it looks a lot like Facebook.
It looks a lot like Facebook. So one of the founders of Facebook is on the board. And the way that I actually sort of show it to people is, you start with this screen, and it should really provoke yawns for anyone who knows enterprise social networking, because this is what we've all got. Yammer or Jive or something like that, something that replaces email, something that's about upgrading employee onboarding. You get a new employee, let's get them there really quickly. You can have a leaderboard of comments, of likes, and all the rest. There's a real baseline in enterprise social networking that everybody's got. And then we go to a bit of a coup de théâtre, if you like, and go to take a look at what social networking is going to become in companies. It's not just going to be about friending each other and following each other at your organization. It's going to be about data. It's going to be about numbers. It's going to be about metrics. It's going to be about tracking every single thing that you do as a company and attaching that to a user profile. So just zooming in here, you can see, here, this is an example, health organizations. We work with Kaiser Permanente, for example. You can see the data. It's in a beautiful context. You can see for every single person in the organization bar charts of how they're doing, whether that's tasks, if they're not doing something that's easily quantifiable. You can track it that way. And it just changes the organization. It makes the organization really competitive and fired up. And that's what we saw in the Obama campaign, and that's what we wanted to bring to companies, that sort of passion that you can get from your employees.
So you talk about KPIs, what do those look like?
So a KPI is a key performance indicator, and it's different for every organization that we work with. In health, that might be something as basic as how long a sort of escalation at a call center is taking to get responded to. We work with an airline. How long is the airplane on the ground? It can be really tactical things. It can be really strategic things like sales, revenue, those kind of core metrics. democratizing that, making that easy to see is really important. And here, for example, you see the difference between a leaderboard of likes. Who's the most liked person at the office? Maybe that's helpful to a degree, but a leaderboard of the KPIs, that really helps people at the organization know what's going on. So you see that you log on, you see a feed that's just for you. We know the org chart of your organization. It's not based on friending or following, it's based on your org chart. You can see the data that's related to you. You can see your place in the leaderboard. You can see spark lines for everything within the organization.
So
you can
it
see
knows
a feed just for you.
It's a contextual based on your role?
It's based on 3 things, actually. So we have, it's based on a group hierarchy, a role hierarchy, and a user hierarchy. So that just means who reports to who, what offices are you in, what departments are you in, what projects are you working on. And it's sort of light years ahead of where the other folks are, which is very manual, very much, let's just have a feed of who you're following and friending. So it's a little bit of a different focus. And then here, if we take a look, there you can sort of see on a profile, yes, you've got the qualitative, you've also got the sort of quantitative and the goals. And you can get that feedback from staff really, really easily.
Great.
No, I don't have any other questions. I think we're actually out of time. So,
Terrific.
Edward, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you
kind of
so
distant
much.
here, so hard for me to see the whole demo.
There you go.
But
You're very far
looks
away.
pretty good. And actually, just this is the framework that you use to manage the campaigns, but you're basically saying you can use it to manage anything, whether it's
Yeah,
KPIs,
so
right?
we work with enterprise, with nonprofit, with government. It works everywhere.
And where to go to find more information?
Nationalfield.com.
And if you go to nationalfield.com/demo, you can actually see the demo live and in action.
That's right.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks so much,
Thanks,
guys.
Edward.